Hey everybody, I'm here with Cceely for the Gwent qualifiers cast. We're going to be watching the two finals games. Winners of each of these matches is going to be going on to Gwent Open number 2. How you doing today, Cceely?
I'm doing really good. I'm super happy to be here. I'm very excited for all of the games that we will be seeing today. I'm sure they will be quite interesting. We've been looking at some deck lists here with Trinet, and we know for sure it will be very interesting. So, yeah, how's Trinet doing today?
I'm doing pretty good, but we got some spicy lineups in store, and I think spiciest of all, we got Truzky. You probably brought the most unique lineup in Day 2, the only player choosing not to bring Nilfgaard. He brought Pincer, Pirate's Cove, Arrakis Swarm, and Reckless Flurry. Taking a look, starting at this Pincer maneuver deck, we got Gerhardt full test with Dunbanners, pretty typical stuff. Playing Casting Contest as one of the 5P cards of choice. Carrick City Guard to give him a bit of movement as well as just another engine. Pretty stock, all things considered. I don't think this is the one that we're going to be spending too much time looking at, as this is one of the more typical lists that he has brought. Any thoughts?
On the Pincer maneuver one here, the something worth noting here, I think, is the fact that we're not seeing a Natalis, we're not seeing a reinforcement here in Truzky's list, which is pretty interesting. Like, rather aiming for this full test win round 1 strategy. Of course, the Carrick City Guard is an interesting tech choice as well, and I believe the Casting Contest with only one Bannard student, that's something that I definitely noticed here. Of course, you have to have a Ballista in there to make sure you have a 4 provision card there that also triggers your Siege, and the Bannard student sequencing might be a little bit awkward with the full test. So, yeah, an interesting take on this Pincer maneuver. We'll see how the Casting Contest will work out for Truzky. I'm interested to see that card in here. And yeah, Pirate's Cove, definitely very standard list. We've all seen couple of these on the ladder. Cove, on the other hand, has disappeared for a little bit. Jackpot has taken over, but I think what Truzky's saying here is that he wants to play Pirate's Cove because potentially it's a little bit more rewarding if he does end up playing this really, really well with the leader charges, of course, helping him in a round 1, potentially in a round 2 where we get bled. Other than that, I think we can just say we see a lot of these strong syndicate golds that we usually see. Professor Jacques Siggy, Horson Jr., Mariels is in here instead of a Philippa. Maybe with a coin generation, that's a better choice for Truzky. But yeah, it's nice to see Cove back.
Yeah, Truzky, the only player in Day 2 to bring Pirate's Cove instead of Jackpot or Lined Pockets. Still playing the Borsodi brothers, which is something that has fallen out of favor a little bit with some of the new cards released from the latest expansion, taking up some more spots. Playing double Passiflora Peaches to take advantage of the new buff there as well, now that it's 4P, just another solid engine to play alongside Tax Collector. Next up, we got the only player in Day 2 to bring Arrakis Swarm. We have a list that's looking like something we would have seen a couple seasons ago, with double Tall removal with Karathi Heatwave and Curse of Corruption to complement all of the wide the deck is going, with double Bone Talisman, Yennefer, Triss potentially for Bone Talisman, and double Chimera. Deck's going to be preying on stuff that goes tall while also going wide and having a ton of points put into play that way.
Yeah, this Arrakis Swarm list is very efficient for Truzky because it does play very wide. We can see all players have brought Nilfgaard today, and Arrakis Swarm is actually a really, really nice counter, especially in a tournament. What Truzky's doing with this lineup is he's definitely targeting Nilfgaard, and we have seen him earlier banning some Northern Realms decks because he's basically saying that that enables him to get this Arrakis Swarm through. Usually Siege is a little bit difficult for Arrakis Swarm to beat, not just a little bit, it can be definitely crucial. But yeah, also something else that Truzky might want to ban is of course Syndicate. Other than that, Arrakis Swarm is a really solid list for Truzky to be bringing here.
Sorry, I'm not laughing at you, I'm laughing at my chat.
I see a lot of Tortoise Cam. We demand the turtle!
I don't have it in these scenes, I'm sorry.
No.
You want to take it away with Reckless Flurry?
I mean, I don't blame them.
Yeah.
yeah, let's move on to the Reckless Flurry list here that Truzky is bringing. Really solid red coin list with Portal and Avalok Stage, something that we've seen this weekend a lot. This means that Truzky is cutting the sometimes unreliable discard package to instead be able to run a Avalok Stage and a Portal in this list. Also cutting the Axie that you sometimes see, or quite often see. The nice thing about Avalok Stage is that he's almost never bricked. We can see a lot of scenarios in this list, or you can tutor out the Portal, you can tutor out your Heron Could Do location, or you can tutor out your Totem. So most likely it's not going to be bricked. A really useful card to have in there, alongside with these great swords and Megascopes for some added tempo. The nice thing is you can potentially be a little bit better on blue coin than the discard package version of this list, because you can play a little bit longer into this round with your bronzes and really contest that round and not having to hold on to your points in the discard package, which can sometimes make it really awkward. So I do like seeing this version of Reckless Flurry, and I think it's going to be performing pretty well for Truzky as well, but we'll see.
Yeah, 3 of the 4 players in the top 4 brought some variant of Reckless Flurry. 2 of them brought a Portal deck like this, and 1 of them brought the discard package. I'm a bit surprised to see the Portal version in a lineup that's looking to ban an RSO amount of the time. I feel like where the Portal version really shines is being able to absorb random damage on the Bear Witcher Adepts, in addition to having just like great swords in your deck and a bunch of shields and Spoblood Totem to absorb random damage and just pings in general. It's just most relevant against that R when they have bombardments and a Poultice Pride that you can try to manipulate your rows around. But anyway, moving on to Spiro's lists, starting us off here with Inspired Zeal, but this one's not playing any commandos. We're just playing Inspired Zeal for pure mid-range value, boost up Anses, boost up Selkirk. Shani in round 3 can res Bannered Student, and then you can use your Inspired Zeal charge on that to guarantee 3 or 4, maybe even more damage if the Bannered Student lived a long time in round 1. So turn 1 Amphibious Assault in round 1 could potentially lead to some really scary round 3s if that Bannered Student doesn't get answered.
Absolutely. Solid amount of duels for this one. I think the strong part about this deck is that when it draws all of its cards, its power is quite strong. The weakness of this deck is, of course, drawing those high provision, high-end golds. As we know, there's not really any tutor for those, so you really have to rely a little bit on luck to get that Varaxes, as well as the Siege and the Shawnee, as well as Prince and Sayas and Gerhardt. A lot of cards that kind of really want to be drawn there. So it can be a little bit scary, but once you get everything working and this list goes off, the power is definitely there. It's a really strong one. So it's interesting to see this. What normally you might see as a shield wall list, potentially. It's like the same type of mid-range, like Trina mentioned, but this time we do see the Inspired Zeal. Of course, these leader charges looking to target Prince and Sayas, Selkirk, and potentially that Bannered Student. Yeah. And then we can move on to the Imprisonment list. Nilfgaard being really popular. It looks like a pretty standard ball list that we see on ladder in tournaments. Spyro here is opting for the Gorther plus Cantarella combination here. Those are usually flex slots. You might see a Fergus, you might see a Artorias, but here we're going for the Cantarella and the Gorther. I think that will help Spyro for potential mirrors. Of course, we know that Truzky actually does not bring that, so we'll see how the Cantarella and the Gorther will find value for Spyro's Nilfgaard deck here. But otherwise, a really solid gold Masquerade Ball, of course, being a deck, a card that this deck revolves around and being able to trigger that one. Very solid list from Spyro.
Yeah, I don't know a whole lot to add to that. This is just a pretty solid deck that we've seen on ladder, seen in tournaments. Masquerade Ball has been the big Nilfgaard boogeyman for a very long time, and this is just the latest iteration on it. Playing Thirsty Dame instead of Seditious Aristocrats, pretty minor. Seditious Aristocrats, a little bit better to play later on in the round, where Thirsty Dame can generate more engine value if it sticks the whole round. I think is the main reason to consider one over the other. Moving on to the Jackpot list. Now, both players in the series did ban Syndicate, so we will not be seeing either of this Jackpot nor Truzky's Pirates Cove list. But here we got all the usual suspects. We got Siggy, we got Cesar, we got the Poison Brothers, we got Freak Show, which not in all of these lists, but it's become more and more popular as there's been more greedy-ish looking engine decks people have been playing, and Freak Show helps keep those in check. Kurt to apply bounties, give you a little extra value on your Freak Show as well. And then in the bronzes, we got Double Tax Collector 1 Peaches, flipping the ratio that we saw from Truzky. Tax Collector probably being a little bit better given that Jackpot prevents you from ever over-profiting, and you can get some guaranteed value there by turning your Tax Collector into Passiflora Peaches, even on past turns. Yeah, anything to say about the Jackpot list?
Not that much to add here. Of course, this list is banned, but very, very solid Jackpot list. Pretty standard from what we see on Syndicate. Just really, really strong. There is a reason for why this deck list is banned indeed. And we can maybe talk a little bit about the ban, just mentioning that because Truzky is banning this Jackpot, he is saying he can beat Spyro's SpyroZA list with his AQ, which otherwise would have been banned. But I think because of this SpyroZA list, having a lot of removal with the Prince and Seiya and Selskirk, also does not play Adalia and does not play Reinforcements or Fultus Pride, which are all pretty scary cards for AQ. So Truzky here is saying with this ban that he can beat Spyro's SpyroZA list with the AQ. But let's move on to Force of Nature here from Spyro. We see a Koshi deck. Monsters is here. Not an SK list this time, but yeah, very strong, powerful list. Caretakers in here to make sure, against Nilfgaard you can purify your Koshis. Agora as well, a purify potentially there. And very, very strong cards for Koshi. I'm really interested in seeing the AQ versus Koshi potentially match up, because I don't know how that's going to go. Yeah, Heatwave does answer a couple of things. Of course, She Who Knows, if you do get it off, it doesn't get removed or locked. That is a lot of carryover value from Koshi. So let's see how this deck turns out in this tournament.
Yeah, since AQ's largely fallen out of favor on ladder, despite seeing a lot of Force of Nature, I haven't really seen the Force of Nature versus Arachnosaur matchup, so I'm also curious how that is going to play out.
Yeah,
one notable thing,
a little bit of extra specs.
Yeah, one notable thing about this list is he is trying to fit in the Archospore for thinning, with 1 Drago Warrior and Brewis for consumes. So trying to greed that a little bit, maybe not the most reliable thinning, but being able to have an extra thin to try to find your Koshjay. Pretty nice, considering that card's not really tutorable since you want it in your hand. You can't Neuromancy for Koshjay in round 3, so every bit of thinning helps.
Yeah, and if not, you don't thin them, then they're just mulligan fodder for provisions, which isn't that bad either. Plus, you have the Drago Warrior, that is another consume potentially for those Archospores.
Yeah, exactly. And just to chime in on the bans one more time, you had mentioned that he thinks that he can beat the Inspired Zeal with Arachis, and I sort of agree, but I have slightly different reasons. I think part of that might just be the Jackpot deck is so reliable, and this Inspired Zeal deck is trying to high roll. So if this Inspired Zeal deck if you think it's in a failure state like 20% of the time, those are the 20% of the games that you're going to easily be able to get your Arachis deck through, because the NR deck just misses its siege, for instance. And when the NR deck misses its siege, it doesn't have a whole lot going on. You don't care about the Onseis, you don't care about the Selkirk, you're not going tall. Those aren't the scary cards.
Yep. Pretty much, Truzky does not play tall, so this Inspired Zeal isn't really a threat against something like Truzky's SK or the AQ, like Trina mentioned, so that's a really good point there. But yeah, what do you think about the bans? Do you agree with the players? Are the bans correct?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you can't go too wrong when you're banning Syndicate. Really, with bans, what I'm looking for is it's less about making sure you ban the right thing, and it's more important to just make sure you're not banning the wrong thing. Whenever you're banning your opponent's deck, you're sort of saying, okay, you can get this deck through for free. It's not as proactive as I think a lot of people make it out to be. Whereas a bad ban can be actively bad. So for instance, if your worst deck is going to be really good into one of their decks, and you ban that, and you're making it harder for your worst deck to get through. Where you're never really doing that by banning like a slightly... making a slightly suboptimal ban. It's just so much worse to have a bad ban than to have a slightly bad ban. Much easier for it to cost you the series. For sure.
That's a really, really good point. I'm excited to see these lists in action, just like Trina mentioned. There will be a new matchup completely, I think, for every one of us. AQ versus Force of Nature would be quite an interesting one to see here. Now, do you have any thoughts on who might be a little bit more favored with their lineup? Are we kind of neck and neck here? Does one of our players have like a slight advantage? What do you think?
If I had to guess, I would probably put my money on Truzky. It feels like he hit the Nilfgaard that he's trying to target. The Inspired Zeal deck isn't guaranteed against this Arrakis deck, even if it is very favored. And from what I've seen so far in this tournament, it looks like Flurry does pretty reasonably against this whole lineup as well. How about you? Any thoughts?
I definitely second that. I think for Spyro to get a chance here, he definitely, I mean, Truzky's weakest deck here is probably the Pincer that we talked about a little bit, and Spyro does have the Nilfgaard matchup here, usually being a little bit of a pain for Northern Realms, especially that full assist in round 1. So we'll see if Spyro can target this Pincer maneuver a little bit with the Q order. Truzky most likely is going to bring this deck on blue coin, which can, you know, help Spyro a little bit in deciding what he will Q in terms of trying to counter this strategy. So, yeah.
Looks like we're getting into game number 1 here. Truzky queuing up the Reckless Flurry and Spyro with his Inspired Zeal. Choosing to bring the NR on blue coin. Truzky running that Reckless Flurry up on red. Has Greatsword Megascope combo.
Always lovely to see. What Truzky does want to do here is put a little bit of pressure from red coin. That's something that Cceely does really well this Madoc deck with all of its bombs, double Megascope, also Portal, quite a few points. You're definitely wanting to pressure and are a little bit here. Ideal scenario for Truzky with this deck is always winning round 1 and then maybe bleeding out some of the good stuff in round 2.
Yeah, picking up that Boiling Oil with that last mulligan could end up being huge. He didn't have a clean answer to just a naked Greatsword before. But now with that Boiling Oil, Truzky's going to need to set it up with either a Reckless Flurry charge or potentially a Matic click.
Yeah, Spyro's opening here with the Lyrian Cavalry, a nice card for Spyro to proc every time that Spyro plays any type of order card. So that one, if it doesn't get answered, which it does now, would potentially end up playing for a couple of points here.
Yeah, not long for this world. Lots of 4 damage effects coming out of Truzky with the trusty Matic deck, always able to take those things out.
Absolutely. Truzky has a lot of those answers, and the pressure is on.
Yep, Spyro playing that Royal Guard naturally wants to go into the range draw, so plays around the Matic that way. Even if he... you probably always want to play it before your Bannered Student anyway, so this sequencing just sort of works.
Yep, this sequencing is looking quite nice. Also, Spyro not really wanting to put these Bannered Students on the board just yet. Trying to get some removal maybe with these other bronzes that he wouldn't might see removed before.
Yeah, if that Matic wasn't in play, maybe you'd consider going Bannered Student plus TA just to try to get a Bannered Student growing for your Shani in round 3. But certainly with that Matic there, it's just not... There's no reason to play in the Matic if you don't have to.
Yeah, and we see Truzky's strategy here of putting tempo on the board starting to form as the portal comes down. Of course, Spyro uses his Margarita here. There aren't that many targets to lock for Spyro, so it's a pretty nice Margarita, stopping this Madoc in its tracks. No more Madoc, at least for this round.
Yep, as we see Truzky using the bomb to take out that Radovid's Royal Guards. And now finally, now with the Madoc locked, Spyro's able to get down the Bannered Student into the melee row. Getting that to grow.
And no tall removal here from Truzky in his hand. It's very limited in terms of what you can answer with, as in the Heat Wave is kind of missing here. So this Bannered Student looks like it might survive.
I think this is Maxi being played. Dimeridium Bomb, Spallblood Totem, Gerd is missing. Avalok Sage was missing. I don't think we have any way to tell whether or not he kept...
Yeah, we're assuming he probably did shuffle there.
Possibly. Yeah. Second Adept comes out, and then Spyro plays the second Bannered Student.
establishing great carryover here for Sparrow's Shani later on. Sparrow, of course, missing a couple of valuable cards. Still, maybe this is good for round 1. You can play it quite nicely here. I don't think the NR deck wants to commit these golds in round 1 unless they really have to. So we'll see, maybe a Selkirk does come down. But other than that, still a lot for Sparrow to find. And again, Truzky here putting pressure on the board with this Greatsword, looking to Megascope it later.
Yeah, but as we saw, as we said earlier, Spyro did in fact draw that Boiling Well with his last mulligan. So he will be able to cleanly take that out before any kind of Megascope shenanigans can happen. No 10 for 4s allowed here.
No 10 for 4s. Maybe 7 for 4s though there, as of course the Witcher adepts are...
8 for 4s maybe. Maybe we get some copies, some Bear Witchers.
Yeah, Bear Witchers 8 for even better. For sure. As long as Truzky can keep ahead here with every play that he pulls, he's very happy putting Spyro in a spot where potentially Spyro has to commit something he doesn't want to this round.
Oh yeah, for sure. And all the cards in Truzky's hand, except for maybe the Quen, he's pretty happy to just throw into round 1, and they're all pretty high tempo. 8 here, 8's on the Megascopes.
Absolutely. Here comes the Bear Witcher for a solid amount of points, also enabling these Megascopes, just like Trinet said. 8 for 4 is better than 7 for 4.
Can't complain. I believe these banner students are at 4 and 2?
Yep, I think so. 4 and 2, so not... Let's see if... Nope, didn't use those charges. Spyro's holding onto them. But buffing one of these banner students, just making sure that he stays ahead here and then can utilize these orders a little bit later to hopefully get out of the round.
Yeah, Pact notably dooming the one that is smaller on the patient, so not going to be a problem for Shani later on. You see Truzky play the Heron Kuduk here, probably for just another Bear Witcher. Set up that Kuduk click while playing another 8-point card, and this is looking pretty scary for Spyro.
Yeah, definitely looking a little bit scary. You do have that Kirik Marine as well, being a nice rest target for Shani later, even though that banner student did get the Doom tag. But other than that, like, you have already committed this Gerhardt. I don't think it's a card that you want to commit a little bit too early. And now it's looking like the Selkirk might have to come out this round as well, unless we can get some sort of tempo here with the Marine, potentially using these student charges to make sure he gets out.
Looks like one of these students is going to kill a Bear Witcher. Oh, it's only dealing 4. There's one smaller than I thought.
Ooh.
So it does still get the Kuduk click. And now the Mega Scoping begins.
This is really nice that Truzky can stay ahead with 4 provision Megascopes. Really nice for Truzky here.
Interesting that Spyro clicked on the bigger bannered student. Not sure what the reasoning behind that was. I would have thought that he would have wanted that one to keep growing for the Shani in round 3.
Maybe just hoping that with that play he does get a pass potentially, but that did not happen. It's either the Selkirk here or kind of pass.
Yeah, well, we're seeing the Selkirk, and this makes a pretty nice point gap. We're going to be 14 points ahead, though not really, as this Megascope is representing 8. So 6 points ahead.
6 points ahead, and we know there's another Megascope. 10 ahead, yeah, and then the Megascope, of course, coming down here. Of course, Truzky also has all of these leader charges left. None of them have been used yet, so that's kind of nice to hold on to if you're
Megascope leader charge gets ahead.
Yeah. There you go.
And that's what we're seeing.
This really is... The Skellige deck here is really shining. It's doing what it does best and putting pressure on the board, winning those round 1s. I really like the portal here. It came in clutch for Truzky. Yeah,
its bronzes are just so efficient. Megascopes, even when they're not getting their ideal target, are able to find pretty strong backup targets. Ugh, see the Shani come down. This is, 10-point
This is
Shani?
definitely, I mean, lucky she has some targets here, of course, but a 10-point Shani is definitely not what you want to see. Spyro, however, saying it's worth trading this Shani rather than losing on even.
He's going to get the Quen for it.
Yes, the Quen's not bad.
Very significant card for sure. Oh, it doesn't even get the Zeal. It's an 8-point Shani.
That's an...
Okay.
Oh! Here's the leader charge.
Hubert's coming out.
There we go. You were saving the day. We forgot about that guy lurking in the deck, ready to save Spyro here.
Okay.
Putting the point gap up here.
So
quite a
Gwen
lot.
is 13, and then you got 8 in the Megascope,
Yep.
I believe. So that's 21. 20.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's
So it would
see
require
here,
both leader charges, I think.
It would require 2 leader charges. I think, what does the Quen pull? Quen could go for like a U-Nod here. What if you hit the Gerhardt with a leader charge? I don't know.
I think the best Quen there was just to get Bear Witcher. I don't have the list in front of me, though. The shielded Bear Witcher off Quen, just so efficient.
And it's worth it here, just taking the round. If you would have gone for it. But yeah, Spyro does, of course, now need to draw some of these good cards left in his deck. That's a lot of provisions. We're missing the Siege.
Good
We
cards.
did find Natalis,
Where are
which
you?
does pull in. Yep, pulls this here. But
It's a
other
good
than
card.
that, I don't know what they are.
It's a good
They're
card.
right here.
It's an important card.
Yeah, for sure. Getting it out too is nice. Making sure you can potentially get something out here and maybe get that card back. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't the easiest thing for Truzky to do. His hand is really high quality. I'm not sure what's still in his deck, but this is going to require 2 pretty good golds just to overtake.
Pretty much, yeah. I think in his deck, we, of course, have another Bear Witcher as well as something like Yalmar. Yalmar would be quite nice for Truzky to have, but...
Or he could just use a leader charge and Quen.
And that, too. I think that's what we end up seeing.
That is what we're seeing. Quen given the shield to Bear Witcher so that it doesn't damage itself.
Yep. There.
Really powerful interaction from the Skellige deck here. And yeah, Spyro just plays out the city guard to try to simplify a little bit, but now he's going to be going into a 5v4 round 3 against a leader charge still.
Exactly. All right.
Will he find his siege?
You really want to draw that Siege. What else are you missing? You're missing the Enseas, the Varaxes. Of course, one of these cards will be Amphibious Assault, as that was used the turn before. We seem to have the Siege engines, but let's find Siege too.
There's Varaxis. Is there still a Karak Marine in deck?
Yep.
Or were they both played in rounds 1 and 2?
There is an Enseas that you might look at. There we go.
Okay.
There it is. I found it.
So, okay, missing Siege, but pretty good cards.
Yeah, for
Could
sure.
be worse.
Truzky, on the other hand, of course, also having pretty good cards. I think as good as it gets, really, at this point.
Yeah, having Greatsword in round 3 as Reckless Flurry is just pretty easy value as well. You can just play it and throw your leader charge down and have it come down as a 7.
Yeah, and
Not like in round
no
1.
Enseas, but
True.
we know that exists here, of course. But it is a nice play for Truzky to make, hoping that there's no removal for it.
Yep. Here's the Hjalmar. Take out that Ballista before it gets to deal any damage. Vanishing something. Take the Totem Click.
Taking the Totem Click here. That's interesting. Yeah. Haven't seen any sieges yet, so Truzky's holding on to that Heat Wave. There is a possibility Spyro still would be playing a siege, or his siege here on this turn. That's not happening, however, so let's see when this Heat Wave is going to come down from Truzky.
Yeah, knowing Spyro has 2 cards in hand means there wouldn't be the ability for Siege to happen anymore, so he's just going to take the Heat Wave on the 9.
Yeah. Now, this is nice, and Says, of course, is going to remove one of these 6s, and then Truzky can still save this Greatsword for his last play there, damaging the Enseas that probably comes down here, unless the Varaxis comes down first. We'll see.
Yeah, Truzky able to play around this Varaxis completely with Dimeridium Bomb plus Leader Charge as well, if he gets that read. It would mean losing a lot of Greatsword value, but it does beat, I think you might just win here anyway, but...
I think so.
Yeah.
Yep, there we go. Taking down a 4-point damage on Truzky's side of the board, and then we can see he doesn't even need to play out this bomb here. It does it anyway.
No need to take the cheeky play when the normal play just works.
Alright.
Yeah, that was a pretty convincing win there.
I think it was really perfect for the Skellige deck, really demonstrating its power and how it is ideally going to work. So Truzky taking it here. 1-0 currently is the score. We can see this Reckless Flurry has gone through. Now it's time to cue our next game for some keg opening.
Apparently we're getting a keg first. It's an epic.
Yeah. It's pretty good.
Ooh.
What are we getting?
Take the dwarf. Take the unplayable dwarf.
I took it. Yay. Alright. Very good.
Here's the invite.
Yeah, we seem to be queuing into the next game now. Do you have any thoughts on what the queue order will be here? Of course, the coins will be flipped now. Truzky going on blue coin. Maybe this is where he brings the pincer?
Yeah, Spyro on red, I gotta imagine he's gonna try to get the... Probably Force of Nature's a higher priority queue on red than Imprisonment is. But... I don't know, maybe if you're expecting your opponent's lineup to be really good against Nilfgaard, you just want to try to get that through?
It might be. I think we might see the Nilfgaard queue come down here. If you do expect Pincer, yeah. We'll see.
I think generally the Koshchei deck plays on blue coin worse, but given the lineups and the fear of your Nilfgaard just not being able to get through, you might want to prioritize just trying to queue that deck on the good coin and maybe risking a blue coin Koshchei game. But we will see.
We'll see what it ends up being. Could be anything. Still a couple of decks here for players to get through on both sides, of course. Syndicate banned. None of that today. But yeah, Truzky probably going to queue the Pincer here on blue.
Yeah.
Maybe we'd potentially get to see the Monsters games. The Monsters clash here with Truzky queuing AQ and Furuki Koshi. But,
yeah, I mean, it's possible.
It's possible.
It's possible. It's, yeah. hard to argue with the possibility of it.
Yep.
Players taking their time. They got plenty of time. Want to make sure that they're making the correct strategic decision. Choosing your queue order, not trivial in Conquest. I think it's something that a lot of players don't think about as much as they should. But it really... like, being able to try to snipe matchups is a bigger potential gain than I think a lot of, especially players that haven't played in tournaments, might realize. There's a lot of mind games going on right now.
A lot of mind games. It always is. A queue that might seem obvious is not going to be the queue that you take because it is a little bit too obvious, so that can change quite a bit.
Yep, exactly. Both players thinking what level of mind games their opponent's on, as well as whatever their game theory optimal line would be. Anyway, looks like we have gotten into the game. Let's see. We got Truzky on his Arrakis Swarm, and we are seeing the Monsters Mirror. Spyro choosing...
really interesting one.
Spyro choosing to get this Force of Nature in.
I think this could go either way. It's going to be really interesting to see. Where's blue coin for Truzky, red coin for Spyro? There is a heat wave here threatening the She Who Knows immediately, we can see, and a COC as well that can be really efficient for Truzky to use against monsters.
Yeah, looking at these lists, he drew all of his answers in round 1 too. So looking at this list, we can answer the She Who Knows with the Curse of Corruption, and then we have a Parasite and a Heat Wave to deal with the Koshcheis.
Pretty much, yeah. So
not the cleanest answers to the Koshcheis. There'll still be some larvas left over, and you're using specials to answer something that's probably floating, but... the Parasites
are still answers.
They are still answers, indeed. And, I mean, as long as X got points.
And AQ certainly does have points, but so does Koshi, so we'll see.
Yeah, I wonder if we're going to see any, we're going to see the Yennefer interact with the Thrive Curve at all.
That would be very interesting.
Yeah.
Timing of the Yennefer. And we can see also Spyro drawing into his Corinthier and Koshi in hand. That is what you love to see when you're playing this list. Really happy when you get that combo there. So that is guaranteed for Spyro.
Yep. Got... what are we seeing here? Is this the Wispus?
So this is coming down for the curse. Crimson Curse, starting to bleed these larvae. Just a really nice tempo play. Definitely something that Truzky can commit round 1. He wants the tempo here. And that is something that Crimson Curse does do.
Yeah, this is the round where you know it's going to be a certain length. You know your opponent's not going to give it up too easily, so you're going to get full value on the Crimson Curse. Bleeding Larva's not ideal. The damage is going to come down and probably hit some armor. The Thrives are going to negate the bleeds, but you get a couple Lekimaras, you get your Arrakis. Even if the bleeds end up not being worth a ton of points, it's still something. It's tempo.
Yeah, and Spyro sees the value here in the Caretaker, otherwise maybe not really purifying too much. We know there's no Doragary either in Truzky's list. Even if there were, there's still an Aguara. So this Caretaker is just getting all the value it can coming down here.
Yeah. I guess the other notable thing about the Crimson Curse here is it does make getting Sabbath a little bit harder with the bleeds. Even though the larvas are eventually going to grow back the damage they take from the bleeds, it does reduce the amount of points in the row by a little bit for a turn or two. Squirrel on the Aneromancy.
It's a really great card to banish, and not bad, but a little bit slow maybe.
Yeah, it was one of the risks of the aggressive Caretaker there. He set up his Aneromancy to get squirreled, just to remove 2 bleed.
Exactly.
23-23, Ratcatcherus is on Sabbath, and it looks like Truzky is just passing.
Yep, Truzky's saying he has a shot here. I'm not sure how this is going to go. Like, maybe he's saying he's banishing the Aneromancy, and maybe Spyro has a little bit of a hard time finding what he needs. But this She-Who is really efficient. This allows Spyro to bleed going into round 2, and I think that can be really scary, especially considering that Spyro has the Koshi, Spyro has the Karanthir.
50-50, what gets the resilience?
2. Let's see. It is got the bleed.
There's bleeding on the Ratcatcherus too. That's going to go down to 7.
Doesn't matter. Ooh, okay.
Nope, resilience on the She-Who-Knows.
Very happy to see that if you're Sarah.
Yep. So, yeah, I mean, She-Who-Knows gets value now. He just got the 10 points in round 2 chilling there.
She's just chilling. She's a relic. She's going to enable these Gankeens coming down at some point as well. And Truzky is going to have to defend this bleed with Arrakis. We'll see how it goes. I would be definitely scared of the Karanthir Koshi coming down in round 2. However, just like trying to mention, we do see all of the answers in Truzky's hands, so at least he has those.
I'm scared of everything. I'm scared of the bleed. I'm scared of the Koshjays. I'm scared of the potential carryover. Like, you got a Curse of Corruption here. You got... There's no natural selections in Truzky's list, so he could just go Witch Apprentice to make a pocket for Gankane. Looks like he's going for the Weavis first. That also makes a pocket for Gankane.
Mm-hmm.
And then here, Gankane is 9, which means the other Witch's Apprentice will give you Sabbath, assuming there's no interaction. We do see Truzky decide to take the Parasite, though. That is one of his important answers to Koshjay.
Yeah, we'll see what's going to happen now that one is used. But of course, these Witch Apprentices are a little bit scary if they keep on ticking. Truzky, of course, passing early there in round 1, making it quite nice for Spyro to take this, like... Either you don't want to overswarm, you don't want to play the Koshi round 2, or you can just take it into a short round. I think that is pretty ideal for Spyro as well. So let's see how this plays out for Truzky, having used this Parasite.
Really not sure what the plan is here after you give up round control. Just looks like Koshjay should just run away with this, I would think.
I'm wondering, could the Koshi be coming down in round 2 here, where the Adrenaline is activated? So there's definitely a possibility.
It's possible that he just goes to the 2-0. I don't know that he needs to, but I don't know if it's a losing line. So here we got
absolutely. Short round 3 seems good too.
Yeah. Koshjay, probably one of the best decks in the game at playing 5-card rounds. It is very hard to deal with that deck when it gets to its ideal round length.
Alright, Tris coming down here, finding a couple of cards here, and we're going for a little bit more value on these insectoids, spawning more drones.
Swarming up a bit. Those Chimeras are going to be live soon. Got a Rock's Behemoth to continue to build up that melee row. We are going to see the Koshjay come out in round 2.
It does put more units on the board for something like Yen, which can be nice. Nice to get down from Spyro's side of the board. I wonder if both Koshi's going to come down here.
I feel like once you commit one and your opponent hasn't answered it, you're just going to go in, right?
Yeah.
I feel like this is even just like Koshi leader.
Oh, He's going for it.
Yep.
But Truzky does have points. So does Spyro now. It'll be interesting to see.
He does,
Relic's Pocket activated. A lot of thrives are going to be happening on Spyro's side of the board.
This first Koshchei on the melee row is a bit awkward. Because now you can't play... Yeah, you can't play into your Relic Pocket without losing some Koshchei value.
Definitely. Let's see how Spyro does. Oh, yeah, he's going to go for the Relic here on the range row because of that. And misses out a couple of points on this Ganking.
Yep, not a huge deal. Putting it that way did help enable his Witch Apprentice faster, which might have just been the priority.
And he'll go with the Chimeras coming online. A lot of points in these Chimeras, of course. But Spyro is just going and continues to make sure that all of these little larvae thrive away. And the points are on the board. And that's a lot of points.
Thrive away, little larva. Thrive away.
They're thriving, they're thriving.
I guess they're not little anymore. Turning into pretty big larvae.
That's what they do.
Zagwara coming down to cap out the thrive curve. Koshchei and the smallest larva, or biggest larva, thriving up to 7. All around the procs.
We see quite a few points to catch up with here with the Chimera. Of course, we do have the do lock enabled as well for a couple more points on the Bone Talisman.
Yep.
Yeah. Also, the engine,
like
of course,
take
it away. No, unfortunately, not enough. And yeah, this is something that definitely you could see coming there with Spyro having both Garanthir and Koshi in and winning round 1 quite nicely, being able to put them down in round 2.
Yep. Not sure how big for the trajectory of the series overall it is for Koshchei to get through. I feel like that one was probably likely to get through no matter what. I think this mostly comes down to the NR and Nilfgaard decks. But
I think that's going to be the deciding one for sure.
But any deck getting through is nice.
We are going to be moving on to the next.
What was in the keg? I missed it. What did you get?
I missed what was in the keg too.
Oh,
I don't
chat,
know.
chat, tell me.
Card.
We need to know.
Not that much. Tell us, chat. It's keeping secrets.
Let's see if the players take their time on this queue as well.
Yep, that's fine. I mean, a lot to think about what we're going to go ahead and queue now. The score is 1-1. We're neck and neck right now. Truzky, of course, having to get this AQ through. Spyro, on the other hand, still looking to get the NR Zeal list as well as the Nilfgaard list through here. And Pincer from Truzky. Red coin now. I think Truzky might want to go with the AQ here. Spyro might go for the NR. We'll see.
I think that makes sense. Given the decks, the coins the decks want to play on, that makes a lot of sense, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But of course, like we saw from the previous one, it's not always that obvious. You might not go for the obvious queue there either, so maybe we're going to see some spice here with our players queuing decks that we're not expecting.
Yep, could always see some weird stuff where if Spyro is expecting the Arrakis and he thinks the Nilfgaard deck is... the NR deck is really good into it, that he'll definitely queue that up, but yeah. Yeah.
Yep. No, that's completely right. We'll see what we end up going here. Of course, the Pincer maneuver folds this version from Truzky that we're going to be seeing versus SpyroZA. Let's see which NR proves to be superior. Will it be the consistent list that potentially has a little bit less power, or will it be the Zeal list with some more control options, a little bit more mid-rangey, but also not guaranteed consistency on drawing your high-end golds? Will be interesting.
Yeah.
Power versus consistency, maybe.
One of the biggest trade-offs in deck building. You can only pick one.
Can't have the best of both worlds. That would just be a little bit unfair.
Yep. Spyro opting for the risky approach. Truzky taking the much more reliable pincer maneuver.
Yeah.
So, what would be... So Truzky is on blue coin this time, correct?
Yes. Truzky will be on blue coin here. Of course, NR usually does utilize the blue coin quite nicely. Pincer, especially the Foltest combo, is something that Truzky wants to get off quite fast in round 1, hopefully. Get your Foltest, start boosting those done banners, and win the round that way. It's a pretty nice way for a Pincer siege list to really guarantee winning round 1. That is usually quite important. So you want to do that, which is something blue coin might help Truzky with in terms of just tempo, but...
Yeah, so if you're assuming that Truzky is bringing the Pincer deck, which of Spyro's decks do you think is better into the Pincer? The Imprisonment or the Zeal?
That's interesting. I think maybe it might even... I mean, the Zeal is nice in that way that you do have a couple of answers for something like the Foltest, and you can contest around with engines, whereas NG, on the other hand, does have the control options, also answering something like Foltest there, maybe having to commit a little bit more to win round 1 than you'd like to with NG. So he could honestly go either way. Do you have any thoughts on what you think we're going to be seeing?
Nope, I was just trying to fill time until the game started, and it looks like we're in. Spyro brought the NR, and Truzky brought the Arrakis.
Okay.
So we are going to be seeing this matchup.
Yeah. We are going to see the red coin here from Truzky. For some reason, I got them mixed up, and I thought Truzky was key on blue for a couple of seconds there, but yeah, red coin it is, and that makes sense to bring the AQ.
Yep. I was mixed up too.
Overthink these. Change my decision from what I said first. But it's okay.
Finding the round 1 Maxi doesn't have his Nero yet, but does have Squirrel to potentially answer an AA out of Spyro. Spyro, on the other hand, just going to lead on the Lyrian Cavalry. His almost entire hand is going to proc it. Entire hand procs it. I think everything's in order.
Pretty much. I think it's a really cute round 1 card. Surprisingly good. Usually mulligan fodder, but it might play quite nicely here. And if it doesn't get removed, again, none of those selections. So it is going to stay on the board and definitely get some points for Spyro.
Finally, Marg doing something in NR other than just being an NR unit for Amphibious Assault. Finally, some extra value by being in order.
Finally. There's the lock odd, the
Draga eggs.
Draga eggs, so no larvas there for Truzky yet, or I suppose insectoids. Drones, they're called?
Yeah.
None of those for Truzky just yet. Has to stall in on the swarm a little bit.
This Karak City Guard being a Veil unit in round 1 is huge here, potentially absorbing some Crimson Curse pings. Anytime the Crimson Curse randomly decides to bleed that Karak, that's just 2 points down the toilet.
Yep, definitely a nice answer. Nice 5 provision card to have here. Of course, it does replace something like a second oil, but right now we can see it definitely could be the better choice than an oil against something like AQ.
Definitely don't want boiling oil against a Rocket Swarm.
Mm-hmm.
Much prefer to have that engine. Uses the tactical advantage on the bleeding Marg before passing it back over to Truzky, who is now playing his Organic Tutor, probably just to help swarm another card. I don't think he's playing the Parasite here. He is playing the Parasite here.
Parasite. Wow, okay.
Ooh.
Removing this veiled unit. Alright.
Yeah, value in getting rid of that now instead of getting rid of a Ballista in round 3.
Yeah, that's a commitment, but maybe Truzky's saying he could just bleed out the Ballista in round 2 if this round 1 will end up going well for him.
Yeah, the pass button is the best removal tool in Gwent.
Here comes one Ballista that is now not something that Truzky can answer. We're going for the nest here, putting more drones on the board. Of course, Ballista will enjoy that.
This poor Marg just keeps getting cursed by the Crimson Curse. Another 2 bleed onto the Marg. See the Talus into Bombardment? No, Amphibious Assault.
Yeah.
I saw the mouse over on Bombardment, and I was...
Yeah.
Forgot that...
That would be very risky. You have to be very lucky in drawing the rest of your stuff if you're going for that one. Alright, but we're going for the Amphibious Assault here for a solid amount of points here, making it a little bit more difficult for Truzky to pressure, especially with this hand.
This will give the squirrel to Truzky though, so he will be able to banish that amphibious assault, provided he feels comfortable enough with his tempo.
Yep, as long as you get ahead after that play, it's probably something you want to go for, making sure that Spyro does not find the AA for the next round. Possibly not a second Ballista.
Yeah,
because there is one more.
This inspired Zeal deck is pretty light on siege engines, with the Ballistic committed, and now this Amphibious Assault getting banished. It might even be hard to full proc the siege in round 3. Or round 2, depending on if it's getting played in a push.
For sure. So here comes the squirrel, and again, of course, Truzky's happy to do that as long as he has the tempo to do it.
Indeed, indeed. Ballista getting bled in a bit of a flavor fail. Not really sure how a reinforced Ballista is going to be bleeding, but it is what we see. Spyro takes the pass.
Here comes the pass.
Yep. Making Truzky find 10 points? 9 points?
Yep. And the adrenaline there on the Chimera is activated.
I believe it is a little short though, right? Chimera's playing for 7. Bone Talisman does it. Yeah, and that's what he's going to play.
And there, the Crimson Curse doing the rest of the bleeding work here. Bone Talisman being quite nice here. But yeah, Spyro taking the pass there. He doesn't have that many powerful plays anymore. Just really slow ones, and it gets a little bit threatening when you go deeper and deeper into a round with AQ. So the pass is definitely justified from Spyro there.
Yep. Picks up the Hubert and his mulligans. As well as a banner student, which probably isn't... I guess it'll do something in the matchup. Double Ballista, so can proc siege. Bombardment's pretty big in this matchup as well. Something to clean up tokens.
Gonna play for a good amount of points, especially with those Ballista on the board, but quite slow plays again in terms of tempo. Like the Banard students playing 2 of those, very low in tempo. They will be a couple of points later on, and same with the Ballistas without the siege. Not the greatest. Let's see here. Truzky, of course, does not find the heat wave, so we might decide it is time to bleed out the siege.
Yeah, I mean, if he's trying to bleed out the siege, he won't get the siege, but he might get the siege engines. That's basically getting rid of the siege.
Yep. Saw Maxi come down there.
The push begins. Starts a little innocuously with just 6 points, but it's not over.
Nope, definitely a lot of swarming coming down here. Full leader from Truzky still, as well as the Yen. Putting a lot of points on the board when she comes down. As long as Spyro doesn't have too many units going on.
Yep, there's the Arrakis Nest coming down, getting answered by the bombardments. Only one of the pings going on to Maxi, so cleaning up 3 of the drones there.
This is really nice, because now Truzky does have to use those leader charges in terms of swarming the board if he wishes to do more of that this round.
Yeah, hand's really light on Swarm. He's got a Tar removal with the Curse Corruption, he's got a Consume with nothing to pair it with, and then he's got 3 Swarm payoffs with the Doldalok, the Yen, and the Chimera. Looks like we're getting some leader charges committed, and is this going to be the Yen?
I think so. Yep, here she is.
Yep, saving 1 charge for round 3 just to make sure that he has a target for any spontaneous evolutions. But
and the point gap is nice now, and Spyro, of course, setting up some of these engines takes a little bit of time. Of course, the Gerhardt there does play for a nice tempo. If Truzky does let Spyro get away, but the Chimera is just getting good value now. So alongside with the Doldalok, it will be coming down here.
Doldalok in the Swarm row is a bit counterintuitive, but it works out here because of how low on Swarm he is. The Doldalok's going to be able to set up the second Chimera. Something that's very easy to autopilot through.
Play from Spyro. Absolutely. But still in it, and of course these Ballistas, as we know, are also very slow. And Truzky, on the other hand, is putting points on his side of the board with these Chimera, really utilizing the Swarm that he has. Now, the COC is a little bit awkward there. Curse of Corruption, currently the highest unit is on Truzky's side of the board, and usually you don't want that to happen.
Just a little awkward. Could be worse, could be worse. But yeah, it looks like we're probably going to have to pass after this, unless you want to play the Endrega Warrior for some reason. But points gap is significant. 48 to 16 is not an easy task.
No, for sure. I think Truzky is pretty happy with this pass, saying, okay, where's your beauty points here? So show them. We'll see what Spyro does here.
There's Gerhardt. Chooses to sit on it for a turn. So looking at the 5 provision pool.
Yep, 5 provision pool, I believe, means artifact compression. What else do you find? We don't have a cheat sheet right now, but
AC's only 5, which is still worse than... AC is 4
out here.
Worse than Pact.
Yeah. Casting contest is the play.
Will-o'-the-Wisp is 5. Oh, casting contest. Yeah.
There we go.
That's a good one.
And Hubert also coming down here. And alongside, along with the Viraxis Spiro's choosing to, of course, save this siege engine here in case he draws the siege, and Truzky does not have a heat wave.
It's mildly embarrassing to play your Viraxis instead of your 4 provision card, but you gotta do what you gotta do if you want to proc your siege.
If you want to proc your siege, and you're not guaranteed to draw like a Seltkirk or an Insayas anyway, so that Viraxis might not be like the best.
He does find the siege. It's huge.
There we go.
Not going to be able to swarm at
Truzky
all.
Find the heat wave? Truzky does find the heat wave with the Aneromancy here. So Truzky does have an answer here with the heat wave from Anero.
Yep. Gets answered.
Yeah.
Heat wave gets rid of that. There's still going to be the ballista, which... is there anything going to be swarming? Anything going to be spawning on the range row? So there's a Triss that goes ranged. There's no organics in hand that could randomly spawn ranged. So the Trebuchet is probably just 4 or 5 points. Unless you need to... I guess you need the Triss early to get a swarm card, so...
Yeah. But for now, Truzky can just save up on these points, make sure that Siege is gone from here, and yeah, Spyro also getting his second ballista out here. Does find it without needing an amphibious assault here. And there comes the Curse of Corruption. Really not much to interact with here.
Sometimes a Rocket Swarm's a unitless deck.
Yeah. Parasite's out, so Spyro can go ranged here with the... And Say's, of course, no Dorgera either, so it's kind of safe just holding on to it here.
Yep. Let's see what Truzky does. I imagine this is the Triss. And just try to, like, play... No, just Bone Talisman. Okay.
Just saying that. He will have enough with the Triss, of course. Full leader charge for Spyro.
I respect it. Now, is there 18 points in hand for Truzky?
Also, what does Truzky pull here with the Triss? It could be some...
Spontaneous evolution, I think.
Alright, it's the nest, yeah. Just saying that these NR specials definitely have polluted the pool that Triss will find here. But it does find a swarm, which is enough for the Chimera.
Yep, that puts him to 10, 9, and then Chimera is... How many drones are there?
Drumroll. Tie!
We got a tie!
There we go! That was really close.
I
was wondering there, could Truzky potentially have missed the swarm option completely?
That came down to a 50-50 too, right? If the drone spawned melee.
True.
That's the one extra point. Oh, man.
Oh, chat, we'll go again.
We'll go again. First, though, we've got to pay a visit to Shoop.
Of course. What is Shoop going to find here?
Come on,
He's on a bit of a break. Coffee break for Shoop.
Ooh, what are we scrolling to? What are we looking for? Oh, nope. Just a regular keg.
Aw. I'm going for the Commando.
Seals Commando.
Trent is not happy.
Could have taken a nice Syndicate card.
Okay, we are queuing the next game, of course. We're going to see an exact same matchup. Let's see how different things will be for this one. I think what we did see there was, unfortunately, Spyro, in terms of his draws, did not find everything he needed to when he needed to find it. But maybe something changes in this game. And of course, Truzky does want to draw maybe that Anir a little bit earlier.
Just to clarify the rule set, when in the case of a draw, both players have to play the exact same decks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we will be seeing the same matchup. No mind games here. Any delay is
Not
just the
this
players taking a
time.
break.
Yeah, they might need one. A tie is definitely interesting.
Ties, make the cast longer. Extra content.
Extra content just for you, chat.
You know what else is extra content?
More hours of Gwent. Yeah?
Sitting in this queue.
That is true.
That's what the players are doing by roping their deck selection. They're just giving more content to us, helping us farm
I think
views.
that's very generous. Thank you, players. Content.
Content.
Yeah. Let's see here if the players can improve their draws, or maybe just one of them will improve their draws, and then the results might be a little bit different. But of course, coin will be the same. Truzky queuing his AQ on red coin. Spyro, on the other hand, going for a blue coin, a Zeal deck. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, Spyro's hands weren't perfect, but neither were Truzky's. I gotta imagine that if you run this matchup 100 times, NR probably wins more than it loses. Siege and Reinforced Ballista and Bombardment, just so high impact cards in this matchup. But there's definitely some variance in the draws here. Spyro could miss Siege, could miss some Ballistas, could not have AA in round 1. Truzky could have the Squirrel versus not have the Squirrel.
For sure. Truzky is definitely hoping for those little bit worse draws from NR, but other than that, his AQ is kind of happy that we're not seeing any Odalias, no reinforcements, just 2 Ballistas to deal with, and maybe you're not going to see both of them anyway, or maybe not even one, depending on the draws there, but yeah. Truzky is hoping for suboptimal draws from Spyro.
Yep, and optimal draws himself. I'm sure round control is at the start of any plan this Arrakis Storm deck has of beating bombardments and ballistas. So these round 1 hands going to be very important. Let's see what the players get in this replay of Game 3. Inspired Zeal versus Arrakis Storm, the previous game drawing.
Here we go.
Here.
We have a Siege.
Siege in hand.
From the Spyro. We have a
Palace in hand.
Truzky. Yeah.
Is Truzky gonna have Squirrel access? No Nero yet. Kicks the Heatwave for now.
Okay. That could be potentially a little bit risky, but you do have the Maxi that you can see your draws with and potentially shuffle if you're not entirely satisfied.
Yep, there is an Nero in his deck as well, so he just expects to not need the Heatwave until round 3, so just get rid of it for now. Make sure that he can play more of his hand and try to get round control.
Yeah, we'll see what Spyro ends up doing here. Is he expecting a lot of pressure again from Truzky? Is he going to take it slow? The opening play.
Let's go. Okay, so is just running out the Natalis again. No fear of the Squirrel.
No fear of the Squirrel, saying that Truzky has
no fear of the Curse of Corruption either, as he pulls out a Reinforced Ballista.
Yeah, that seems like a really good Curse of Corruption for Truzky to take.
I feel like you're really happy to take this, right?
Yeah, you have to be. What else are your targets? It's going to be something tall from AA, most likely, that you're going to be hit, and if it's a Ballista, even better.
And there's no more AA left either. Like, you're gonna Squirrel it.
Yep.
So we do see that Curse of Corruption get taken there. And Spyro's got to find another proactive thing to do. Looks like he's just going to play the Karak Marine, boost it up, and not use the Order yet. Potentially using it to...
Doesn't need to?
Yep, doesn't need to. Could use it to protect a duel. Could use it to get Karak City Guard out of Parasite range after this Crimson Curse happens.
And now is a great time for the Karak City Guard to come down here again with the Veil, just to kind of feel like it's a bit of a deja vu moment here with the Karak playing right into that Crimson Curse again this time.
Can't get parasited this time, though, as it deploys at 8 thanks to that Karak Marine. Let's see how many bleeds this thing will be able to absorb. Do you see the Squirrel finally coming down, getting rid of that Amphibious Assault before the round ends?
A great value Squirrel indeed.
Crimson Curse snipes the non-veiled unit. So 1 50-50 lost.
Oh, and that's a pass. Spyro is giving away this round, saying that he will defend potentially the bleed a little bit better with the hand that he has going on right here. Also, it's a little bit scary against AQ. You don't want to play too much into the round. Again, they just get more points and more power the longer the round goes on. So it's a fair pass again from Spyro.
For sure. That exchange looked really good for Truzky here. Just getting out.
We just need to find play that gets ahead, and we are happy. This seems to be the maxi.
Does look like the maxi. So a Nero will be found in round 3. I wonder if he's shuffling that, trying to find the Nero for round 2. Because he was also missing the Heat Wave. So if he's pushing and he's worried about his opponent playing Siege in round 2, you do want to have the Heat Wave access in that second round.
Yeah, that should definitely be a maxi shuffle. Let's see if that helps Truzky in finding a Neomancy or Heat Wave. Heat Wave is back at least. And a Neomancy.
Ooh, finds both back to back.
She did her work.
Are we sure it shuffles and you don't get to like pick the order of your deck?
We might have to investigate this
Just
after the series. Even better draws. In terms of a bleeding hand, I think Truzky's really happy here. Of course, Spyro seems to be a little bit happier than before. We do have the Siege, so that could come down in round 2. Of course, we know Truzky has the answer this time around. And these duels aren't going to do too much. Selkirk still play for good points, but Selkirk and Zeus not having any tall units to duel in this matchup.
Yep, there's the Endrega eggs, but no Marg to answer at this time. Just gonna lead on Bannered Student and get that growing. Go back over to Truzky with looking at a Nero here to get a consume? Or no, it's just the spectator looking at the decks.
I think we are going to see that play,
we
however.
Are seeing it anyway. Okay. Yep.
Yeah, otherwise there would be no way to consume this egg. So it makes a lot of sense that we do see the Endrega warrior come down here, consuming everything, spotting war drones, enabling potential yen soon-ish. Behemoth might be coming down.
Yep, using that leader charge as well, just to get the extra point on the Endrega warrior to consume a second unit. As when you consume an insectoid with Kikimor warrior, you get an additional drone. So the drone just replaces itself and adds an extra point.
Yeah, we do see a little bit better value for either Selkirk or Anseus with this Endrega warrior. Of course, it does take a point of damage from this bombardment.
Yep, we got Arrakis Nests against anti-Arrakis Nests. Bombardment removing 4 drones, Arrakis Swarm, or Arrakis Nest making 4 drones. Truzky setting up for this Arrakis Behemoth, though. Boosting up all the insects on that row by 1 while spawning 2 more.
Yep. And Spyro saying, alright, I have to play the Siege and see if there will be a Heat Wave or not. Very quick Heat Wave. This should be for Truzky, just coming down, eliminating that. Of course, now the Treb is a little bit annoying, but there is Parasite that Truzky could answer this Treb. Sorry, that will be pinging the Rage Throw with, so we might see that coming down as well.
He's thinking about it a bit. Maybe he's considering... So what are the considerations here? Can you ever win the long round with Siege gone and 1 Ballista gone? And just, like, use your Heat Wave on the Ballista or a duel?
Yeah, I think that's what Truzky's saying with this pass. Taking it here, saying I'm not having to spend my Heat Wave, and there's still a bit of a point gap, so Spyro here does play 2 cards, and Truzky gets to keep card advantage for round number 3.
Yeah, pass button, really good answer to Siege, as we see Spyro needing to use some leader charges here to take this in 1.
Yep, and he does use the leader charges rather than going down 2 cards, it seems. Alright, no card advantage then for Truzky, but 2 leader charges out, pretty good trade.
Yep, so Spyro with a bombardment and 1 reinforced ballista remaining for things that can deal with the wide stuff. He's got Selkirk and Anseus. Only 1 more Zeal left, but those also aren't really the cards that you're looking to have against the deck, trying to go more wide than tall. Yeah, Boiling Oil again. It's removal, but not the type of removal you're looking for. There's Bombardment. That's what he's looking for.
Bombardment will be really efficient here in taking away some of the swarm here that Truzky will put on the board. Truzky does want to find some of those cards that he can swarm with, but we do see Wispus, of course, as an organic tutor, Triss as well, hopefully pulling a a monster special rather than a Northern Realms one, but
Yeah, ends up missing his reinforced ballista, unfortunately.
that one would have done some damage here, considering maybe the shield. Oh, sorry, maybe the boost wouldn't help at all just because of the parasite. You'd have to maybe leader charge it, but
Yeah, so the only thing in hand here that's going to answer more than one drone is that bombardment. All the other removal, a lot more focused on being able to deal with stuff going tall than wide.
yeah.
This is the Crone. Yeah, playing the Organic Tutor. Making some more drones. Sets up that spontaneous evolution with the leader charge. I wonder if Spyro just taking bombardment now. Nope, goes with Shani first.
Yeah, a couple of options here from Shani still. There's enough of a graveyard set up for her to potentially even go off more than once, so you want to get her down early.
Yep, brings back that bannered student, which I'm not going to try to guess what number is that. I guess wrong every time.
Yeah. It's a number.
Is a 10? Number. Oh, there's the bombardment, and I think it only missed a drone once, so it killed 3 of them.
Yep, that's pretty efficient use of the bombardment. Now, Truzky, of course, can still swarm his board with this Triss, going for that, hoping to set up the Yen soon as well. Spontaneous evolution coming down, spawning more of these drones, and no trap on that ranged drone to ping away these ranged units either. So, Truzky happy about that in round 3.
Melee row full of drones. Looks like it is Yen time.
It is the perfect Yen, I think, for Truzky here in round 3.
18 points on the melee row, 6 points on the ranged row, only 8 points for the opponent. 53 to 27, pretty big points gap going up here. We got a Zeal for the Selkirk, we got a Viraxis to, I guess, duel another drone? Assuming the Selkirk doesn't get answered?
The Viraxis could come down on a shoddy as well, but this is definitely scary. I mean, Truzky really has all the power plays left with the Chimeras and the Neomancy, the Heatwave taking down whatever is tallest, I guess, really.
Yep, Parasite being used there to take out the bannered student that was rezzed by Shani before that could get used. Who knows what number that thing was at? It's probably some really high number, I'm sure.
Number, probably.
Probably.
So I already say it was a good value Parasite. Yep.
I think he's considering not Inspired Zealing it, but does go for it. I think the only removal remaining for Truzky is that Heatwave.
Yep, that Heatwave needs to decide, alright, what are the Viraxis targets here? Is it worth going for one? Probably not, just because there are multiple Viraxis targets on the board right now. So Heatwave probably just goes on something tall at the very end of this round.
Yup, and just hold on to that Heatwave so that Spyro can't greed a Gerhardt for a potential Stammelford's Tremors. I believe once the Heatwave is gone, the Gerhardt would be free to go.
Yep, that is true. Definitely quite a big point cap here for Spyro to deal with. Of course, the nice thing about holding onto this Royal Guard is now we get a little bit of a better duel there on the end phase despite having used your leader charges.
Yeah, I mean, the point gap looks big, but these duels are getting pretty good points. There's still the value on this bannered student. After that duel, it's only a 5-point gap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another Chimera there in Neomancy also being able to go for something, but I think the most powerful plays are out, so I'm not sure what the Neomancy may be going for.
We're gonna see Doldalok or Bone Talisman.
Bone Talisman, one of those, and it seems to be the Doldalok that does come down here, creating another Chimera.
Yep, again, putting the Doldalok on the melee row to power up that last Chimera in his hand as well.
And of course, an 11-point, let's see what it will be. It will eventually be a 13-point Heatwave from Truzky left as well.
Yep, here's the Gerhardt with the Heatwave still remaining for Spyro. It does have to click it immediately.
Yep.
Last play, Viraxis. Going to Heatwave on the Shani. Oh, is that going to go off again? I was not paying
The
attention.
Shani could go with the Viraxis.
Oh,
and
true,
I
true.
guess. So now we get a duel still. Like, it's a good, solid play here, as well as removing these drones. Now this Chimera will be the last play. 2 additional drones will be spawning here as the Chimera loses many.
Right? +5,
Drop
+10?
roll. I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Wow, 2
That's
very
so
close
close.
games.
That's so close. All right, Spyro is taking it here. Northern Realms deck is through against Truzky's Arrakis deck, and now Spyro does need to get the Nilfgaard through. And Truzky, on the other hand, trying to get his pincer as well as the Arrakis to go through.
Yep, so Spyro's Q decision now very easy. He only has Imprisonment left. Truzky still has to get through Arrakis and Pincer. Oh, wait, Cake first. An Epic? Ooh, Skirmisher.
What will it be?
Ooh, those are pretty good bronzes. Pick the right one. Pick the right one.
Cohen.
Sure. That's a fine one. Cohen's a really fun card. I don't know if you've ever tried to play a Witcher's deck with Cohen.
I never tried it, but the idea of it seems really fun. When it goes off, of course, that will be pretty difficult, but you sound like you have some experience with Cohen.
The power level to difficulty ratio of Cohen Witchers is probably the most ridiculous thing in Gwent. The deck is not very good, but it is very easy to accidentally lose 20 plus points and lose games that you were already losing.
That does sound a bit tricky. Oh no. Sounds like a deck I need to try out then.
But yeah, as you were saying earlier, it looked like Truzky's lineup was meant to be good into Nilfgaard, and now we're going to put that to the test. Spyro got to get his Imprisonment deck through against both Arrakis Swarm, or against either Arrakis Swarm or Pincer Maneuver.
Yeah, this Arrakis Swarm list from Truzky should definitely be quite favored into Nilfgaard. The Pincer deck, on the other hand, maybe not so much. It could still go either way, pretty even matchup. I don't know what we're going to see. Like, AQ would be a safe Q to kind of get out of the way, but then again, do you want to go with Pincer on the quote-unquote wrong coin after that? Do you want to queue your Pincer on blue coin with your Truzky?
Yeah, for Truzky,
and then go for the AQ.
This is just a coin flip consideration. Whichever deck that he's more comfortable taking on each coin is going to be the one that he brings here. Got to imagine NR doesn't mind the blue coin. Got to imagine Arrakis is wanting the red coin, but we will see. He certainly knows the matchup better than I do.
Yeah, and I mean, either way, you're still going to play against Nilfgaard, so really, Spyro does not have much of a choice here in terms of what to queue. Truzky, on the other hand, does need to get both of these outside. You think not so much mind games, but rather just going for which deck is better on blue coin. Should be Pincer coming down here, but maybe you see some spice in an AQ on blue comes down first.
Yeah, possibly. Maybe you just think the Arrakis deck is so favored in the Nilfgaard that it doesn't even matter what coin you're queuing it onto.
Yep. I think the Pincer is the one Truzky here with his Q wants to give the better chance to, so.
Yeah, I would probably agree with that. I think Arrakis is much more likely to get through in general regardless of coin.
Yep.
I wonder which of the players is choosing to ice the opponent here.
Who's roping? That's our question. Maybe if we get to interview one of these opponents after the games, we could ask those burning questions. Was it you, or was it your opponent?
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure I know the answer just by looking at their usernames, but one of the players is definitely well known to be a bit of a zigzagger.
A zigzagger. Okay, Liam.
Players really making it hard for the casters, giving us a bunch of loading screens to try to talk over.
Yeah.
Really testing our skills.
We can enjoy the music as well as the wonderful Triz card back that is there on the screen. Admire some beautiful journey art. Quite nice.
Look at all that meteorite powder.
I thought that's a good amount of meteorite powder.
11,000 meteorite powder. That's a lot of golds.
Definitely. Chat is asking, who is White Snake? Of course, what we have going on here is Snake from Claymore has this screen on for us, or the stream on here so we can enjoy it. Doing a lot of behind the scenes work today, so definitely a huge shout out to Snake, making sure everything is running smoothly with this tournament and this weekend in general, also keeping tabs on us and the games and the players.
Yeah, Snake's been Snake's been running qualifiers for a long time. Basically, as long as since the first qualifier that I played in, I think Snake was always at the head of things. Claymore, very close partners, CDPR. Making sure everything runs smoothly for these events.
Yep, we could also mention that our lovely deck list graphics that we saw earlier today, also something provided to us by Claymore. Okay.
Indeed. Looks like we got the game. Truzky is choosing to play the pincer maneuver on blue against Spyro's imprisonment. So Crystal Skull pincer maneuver here for Truzky. Gonna have that naturally veiled Karak City Guard and then another veil to throw around as well. Though there is that Vincent from Spyro to punish Veil a little bit.
Yeah, Vincent being a really, really good answer right now for these stratagems, the Veil stratagem from NR. Not bad at all. But I do like this 5 provision choice with the Karak City Guard here. Just Veil can be really useful to get down against Nilfgaard.
Yeah, you're not able to lock this with Van Morlem Hunters. Spyro is going to choose to just play his own Nausicaa Sergeant to try to get on the board, but looks like Truzky is bombarding that immediately.
Definitely a nice bombardment.
Oh yeah, take out that engine before it can grow. That Nausicaa Sergeant's a real scary engine too. There are some pretty common ways that you end up double procking it through cards like Brothans or Duchess's Informant.
Yeah, and Spyro happy here with the Blackmaker, a card that you love to see round 1 come down here for a solid amount of tempo, pinging this Karak Marine down. Now, we do see a lot of answers from Spyro in terms of the full test that Truzky will want to get down on the board at some point. Of course, the guard is coming down here, maybe hoping to buff an engine, buff the full test potentially, but Vincent, Invocation, all really strong answers for Spyro to have in round 1 for any full test shenanigans that Truzky might want to play.
Yeah, Royal Guard ends up eating that lock from the Van Morlem Hunter as we go back over to Truzky. Taking a look at the decks. Okay. So... no
Truzky
engines
here
for Spyro right now, so the Marg has got nothing to lock at the moment. He's mousing over the Amphibious Assault. That is what we're seeing get played here. What does he want?
Amphibious Assault coming down here on the range throw. Let's see what Truzky is deciding to boost with this one. Of course, we do see nice poisons here from Spyro if he chooses to use them. Poison completion with the Bronze Fang as well as the Cupbearer. Not a terrible thing to play on a unit that comes out of Amphibious Assault.
Yeah, even if he Crystal Skulls up the Radovid's Royal Guards in response to the first poison, there is that Vincent that'll be able to take out the now TA boosted unit as well for a nice 16-point Vincent. We'll see if Spyro wants to play around this with the Skull.
All
does
right.
boost it up.
Yeah, Truzky does boost this up. Of course, it's a pretty juicy target now for Vincent. If that was something that were to come down just for tempo, Truzky probably looking to put this Hubert somewhere. But Spyro does take the pass here.
Nope, Spyro deciding saving the Vincent. A little more valuable
Not
than
worth
just
it
trying
here.
to fight over round 1 with his golds.
Yeah, and so Truzky here is happy in winning the round. That is typically what you want to do against Nilfgaard. We do know that Truzky has a couple of consistency options, of course, because he has double leader charge. So finding a siege is something that you can do when you're Truzky. just quite nice, making this bleed seem quite tempting towards NG and their ball, something you really usually want to get out. Also finding the Dahlia now, making sure you can double Ballista, very valuable for Truzky.
Yeah, the siege is looking real strong. He's got Adalia for Ballista, he's got the Faultist's Pride. It looks like he's going to lead on the Adalia here. Get that extra copy of Reinforced Ballista.
Yes,
Playing
and
down to 7. Back over to Spyro, who needs to find something proactive to do, and not really the easiest thing with his hand. You could play the Usurper in round 2, you could play a blind Joachim, you could play your Fangs, you could Vincent the shielded Reinforced Ballista.
Yeah, if you do Vincent, though, you have to hold on to that ball and draw Aristocrats for round 3. It's a pretty tempting Vincent.
Oh, he does have 2 poisons in hands too. I missed the Fangs there.
Yep.
That works out.
Still getting a little bit of value out of this Ballista. That is, Truzky gets a little bit. Now going to find the siege that we were expecting to come down. And definitely putting some pressure on Spyro.
Yep, sends away that bannered student. Commits the siege. Let's see what this will force out from Spyro. Just gonna take the finished poison before that Reinforced Ballista is able to get any more value.
Yep, and nicely avoiding here, playing into the ranged row. Spyro keeps everything on melee to make sure not to give any extra value to this Treb that is taken. Still holding on to double leader charge, and knowing that the ball probably does have to come down here. If you do greet it a little bit too long, you might find yourself in a bit of a tricky position.
Yep, imprisonment locking that Reinforced Ballista as well before that got too out of control. 1 point per turn, plus extra value on Amphibious Assault, extra value when that bombardment comes out of the siege.
Yeah. Now, I don't know, this Faultist's Pride seems quite nice. Of course, it is a little bit of a, you could go for a coup target here. The interesting thing is Spyro, with this scenario, does not really play around the Faultist's Pride, making sure, or like not making sure, but accidentally making it so that Truzky actually does have 3 units to ping with this Faultist's Pride. If it were to come down, of course.
If you put the Masquerade Ball on the end of the row, he could have played around the Faultist's Pride a little bit better. I'm a bit surprised we didn't see that. Yeah.
And here comes the Faultist's Pride. But then again, there's not that much to ping, I guess, since the board gets completely destroyed here by the bombardments, of course.
Yeah, but not really relevant in the end. Wonder if he's even going to click on the Pride.
Something to keep in mind, though, when you're playing against NR is maybe not giving that Faultist's Pride value.
Just hold the Faultist's Pride, and we see Dead Man's Tongue come out here for Spyro. A little bit of a punish for not cleaning up the board. Probably getting rid of the spies from his deck. Usually what happens.
And this, of course, shows us the deck in order.
True.
I believe. So that is something that Spyro is also taking note of here and really choosing what to banish. Which is like Trinette said, usually it is the spies, but here we might go for something to make sure we draw the Roderick.
Exactly. By banishing that Van Morlem Hunter, if you use 2 mulligans, you will be able to find that Roderick. And you're not drawing the spies anyway, so it's not like you're losing any value by banishing that Duchess's Informant. So probably either Informant and Hunter or Nausicaa Sergeant.
Yep. Let's see. I guess we don't really get to see which ones are being picked here.
It's not here.
Alright.
But we don't know what the second one banished was.
Informant.
That was a 5, right? Yeah.
Because of a 5, I assume.
Exactly. And we do see the lock come down onto the Faultist's Pride. Full leader used for Spyro. Still 1 charge remaining for Truzky.
Is also enabling a potential coup if Spyro does want to take it on the Faultist's Pride. Not a bad coup at all. As well as, I mean, Truzky here has set up quite a nice Pride for Spyro to take if he wants to coup. Or maybe the coup will fall down on a Joachim.
Indeed. No good lock targets in play for the Marg. Not sure what's in the grave for Shani. Was there a bannered student played in round 1? It looks like Truzky's just going to go for the pass.
So I like the pass here because you get out what you want to get out, and then you can hold on to these high-end golds for later. And ball really being threatening here. Spyro does have a lot of reach with that ball if you were to play any aristocrats here.
Ball really taking 2 turns to get full value, and when you're forcing your opponent to catch up in 1, it can be pretty awkward. Like here, the point gap's small enough that it doesn't really matter, but he only does get 1 poison when he plays 1 card. It's not like the old days where Roderick into another aristocrat was fully cocking the ball in 1 turn.
Double procking it, of course. Yep, we do see the coup here on Full Fist Pride. Nicely getting ahead here.
Clean way to take the round. Echo that Echo card. Wins the round by 5 on even cards, but down a leader charge. Spyro, knowing the order of his deck, is going to find the Roderick to make sure that he has access to all of his important cards. Oh! Does he find the Roderick? Wait, because the coup goes on top.
I think the Roderick should be after the Cantarella, if I'm not mistaken. If you did banish...
Yeah, he might have not banished the Duchess Informant then.
Okay, never mind.
It
was the Blightmaker.
Yeah,
don't really
Blightmaker.
need that Yoakim, I guess, for the Gorther. What else do we still have left in the deck? I don't believe there are that many targets that you are aiming for anyway. As long as you have the Yoakim, you have your coup target, you're probably pretty happy with that.
Yeah, I think it's just location that was missing. Not the end of the world to miss it. Here's the Usurper. Immediately clicks it. Couple of agents in hand.
Yeah. Let's see here at Truzky's and our list. What is still left in the deck? Something valuable that Spyro could potentially hit with the Cantarella? I don't think so, other than Foltus or Baron, I guess.
Yeah. Not sure. Can't click on the decks, unfortunately. We do see the Shani come down immediately. Gonna bring back that Karak City Guard. With the built-in Veil, it does end up being a nice target for the Vincent, potentially.
Yeah. Vincent has a target now, and potentially, if you were to go for the Blightmaker, that would hit either Shani or the Karak City Guard. It will enable a pretty nice coup as well for Spyro. Spyro could coup the Shani here if it's not boosted. Of course, Truzky can do that.
Yeah, he ended up missing Brothans, too. That's the other gold that's still in deck for Spyro.
Oh, right. Yeah, that one is pretty big for Spyro to miss.
Yeah.
But, yeah, let's see now that we have thinned with the... I believe Brothans could show up with the Yoakim. Potentially.
Yeah, I don't know what the...
Exactly what order it was. It was after Yoakim, but I don't think it was like very, very bottom. So
it was Roderick's spy Mage Infiltrator, and the Mage Infiltrator came out. Or no, the Mage Infiltrator's near the top. Yeah, it might just come out of the Yoakim.
Yeah. Okay, here comes the Cantarella. Let's see what it hits. There's a couple of decent targets. It does go for the Bombardment. It's not really optimal, but this Cantarella without the Gorther is really not that great for Spyro.
Yeah, sometimes your Cantarella plays for another copy of Yoakim, sometimes it steals your opponent's best gold, and sometimes it's 3 points.
This time it was a Bombardment. Okay.
Last pincer charge used to make sure that he has that. Baron uses his casting contest for 9 points on the Karak Marine.
Not bad. For this Vipersion card, potentially more useful than the Boiling Oil would have been if you do see two Boiling Oils rather than a casting contest there, but quite nice for Truzky.
True. Back over to Spyro. We are left with some pretty strong cards here. Yoakim, Coup, Invocation, and Vincent. The Karak City Guard took a bit of damage, so a little bit less enticing of a Vincent target than it would have been otherwise. I don't know if there's a human in his graveyard to potentially res with Shani if he goes Invo Yoakim, but it also depends on what his deck order is.
I think there should be, if you will go Invo Yoakim on that. There was the Nausicaa, at least, so no, that one is there.
Looks like we're just going for the Yoakim.
Yep.
What is this pulling? You should know what it is. It's their
He knows. Spyro knows here. It's a Dame. I'm wondering if that Brothans will come out with the coup here or not, because that will be a very, very big play. Now, Baron, of course, does have a nice target. I'm wondering as well with this Gerhardt, maybe finding an artifact compression could be quite nice as well. But of course, Truzky won't play that before he sees an invocation. At the very least.
Yep. Looks like we're just taking the Marg to lock the... Not lock the... I'm just going to hold on to the lock.
Yep, seems so. Don't know if there's... I mean, the Baron will be resetting the Damon pings anyways, so locking that doesn't do much here. And, maybe there's a better target to lock. Yep, there's the Brothans. Spyro knew this Brothans would come out here. We're probably looking at a copy on the Informant here onto the Carrick. Marine here.
Yeah.
Or the City Guard, I suppose.
City Guard goes to 5. Does the movement matter here? Is there something roll-locked that we're forgetting about?
I don't believe so.
Spyro, I believe, is a devotion deck. He does have the full Usurper.
Oh, yeah. I'm thinking maybe to move the Shawnee in case of a Banard student, but...
Does the Shawnee come off?
Not that it's going to go off, nope.
Yeah. You played it on exactly 7 cards, yeah.
Oh well.
Yep. Well, looking at Vincent targets, killing the City Guard is worth 7, and that does look like what he is taking now.
And Invocation, of course, making it difficult for Truzky here to play the Gerhardt. That means the Baron will come down first.
Yep.
Unless you steal the Gerhardt, of course, you can do that first.
Yeah, you could just get Gerhardt for Pact. Not a huge deal. However you sequence it. This way you get to save the Baron if he has another status for the Thirsty Dame. Pact gets used there. 63 to 62. Invo only playing for 8 points here, and this Baron is a lot more.
This Baron is really nice to have. Ooh, look at that. Surprise point still on Spyro's side of the board with the Hubert coming down. Unfortunately, not quite enough as this Shonky Dame unfortunately gets reset. She had...
That was actually really cheeky. That's why he copied the Carrick City Guard.
Order.
Yeah.
Wait. The other one would have had an order too.
Yeah, we would have had to sit on it. And there was a Marg in play.
Sure. There we go. Getting the Hubert out. Unfortunately, not quite enough, but fortunately for Truzky, it is enough to get his pincer through. I think that's a big one. Now we're going to move on to the AQ Nilfgaard list. Of course, it could go either way here, but a lot of the time you find yourself quite happy playing AQ. That's why Truzky brought it to this tournament. Targeting Nilfgaard with this whole lineup, saying that it will probably be enough. And it's definitely feeling pretty favored, I think, in this next matchup that we'll see. AQ versus Nilfgaard. Of course, red coin for AQ, blue coin for NG.
Yep, it's all coming down to what is probably the matchup that Truzky brought Arrakis Swarm in his lineup for. It's not a guaranteed win by any stretch, but certainly archetypically, this Arrakis Swarm deck is going to be good against the Nilfgaard deck with a bunch of locks and tall removals and Masquerade Ball. Not really a deck designed to effectively punish decks that are going wide.
Exactly. That's basically the strategy here with the Flurry as well, kind of making it so that there is not many tall units at all to target with the whole lineup that Truzky is bringing.
Yep.
Other than Syndicate, of course, that got banned, but that seems to be the strategy. Do you think Spyro's happy to be on blue coin with his NG, or would he rather be on red?
Possibly. I think his win condition here is probably to be able to get round control in round 1. Take it to a long round, can keep filling the range row to try to deny Yens and Trisses and try to brick cards that way. I know previously that's the plan that I tried to employ as Nilfgaard in this matchup I wouldn't say a lot of success, but it made the matchup feel playable, where normally your cards just don't line up very well.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely second that. What Nilfgaard wants to do is go to that long round 3, have as many of those valuable resources as possible, aka high provision units, have all those tools ready in a long round 3. So I think that's going to be what Spyro is aiming for with his strategy here. Let's see if Truzky, on the other hand, can keep putting some pressure, maybe not making that strategy so easy for Spyro, and open to pressure potentially from Red Coin. Of course, a lot comes down to hands here. Nilfgaard maybe being a little bit more consistent now with the tools it has with the Lightmaker's Dead Man's Tongue and actually drawing its cards than AQ.
Blightmaker a huge card in every matchup, but I think especially against a Rocket Swarm, it puts in a ton of work. It gives you some ways to clean up some drones early in the round, and also helps you go wide a little bit to try to mitigate the value on the opponent's Yennefer. Card's big everywhere, but even bigger here than it is in other matchups. Accomplishing a couple of things that you want to be doing in the matchup. But yeah, I think a lot of what's going to happen here is going to come down to round control. I think if Truzky wins round 1 and gets to push rounds 2 to not get clogged in round 3, he'll very comfortably win. And the other way around, the Spyro wins round 1, I think he will be still in the game. He'll be able to play.
Yeah. Pretty much. Winning round 1 does become very important for Spyro. Let's see if that's going to happen or not. Of course, the good old roping. What would it event be without some mind games here while we're queuing our next game? Mind games is Truzky. Is going to play AQ or is he going to play AQ? Is Spyro going to play NG or is he going to play NG? We don't know yet. They have some time to decide. It's intense, this.
Players just stretching, taking some deep breaths, calming themselves down, maybe getting something to drink.
Very important, that too.
Taking a lap around the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Shooting some hoops.
Definitely something you have to make sure you do when you sit for very long times. I mean, these players have been playing yesterday, of course, for pretty much the whole day, and then today, day 2. These games are very important, so you want to be at the top of your game when playing these games, because the stakes are high. We're going to see. This is the game-deciding match. Who is going to guarantee getting the qualifier spot?
Yeah,
sorry, the open spot.
Winner of this
they both have the qualifier spot.
In open number 3. Either Spyro or Truzky comes down to game number 5, Rocket Swarm versus Imprisonment.
Yeah, this is an intense one. So if they're out there shooting some hoops, taking care of themselves, making sure they drink enough water, we're happy. Even if it means we wait a little bit before we actually start the game.
This is one of those games where kind of wish I had Spyro's reaction up on screen. I'm sure he's This is probably tilting him. I wouldn't be surprised if this was very intentional on Truzky's part, just to try to get in Spyro's head.
We'll see. I mean, it can be a good strategy, even if we were joking about mind games. Maybe there actually are some to this. Okay.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Amount of time you spend in queue is the mind game. Double Blightmaker in hand for Spyro. That's huge. That's exactly what he's looking for. He's got a Nausicaa as well. Truzky not having any natural selections in his list either. Double Nausicaa. This is a really good round one hand.
Yep. I think it's as good as it gets really for Spyro. What else is he looking for? Maybe he doesn't really need the Morlahem here or the poison, since we didn't see a poison completion. I guess.
Doesn't find the Mage Assassin too. Incredible. Picks up the Joachim.
That's quite incredible for sure. Only thing missing now is Dead Man's Tongue for that super consistency, but these Blightmakers will do a lot of dirty work here in round 1.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, Spyro was pretty close to the perfect hand for round 1. Truzky also with a pretty nice hand of his own.
Yeah, I don't think Truzky's unhappy either. Let's see if Truzky can kind of keep putting those points on board here with what we got going on. Of course, AQ usually doesn't want to spend too many good cards round 1. Crimson Curse, really nice for round 1, of course. However, something like Triss might be a little bit too much, so we want to hold on to some of those as well.
Yeah, I think every game we've seen the Soraka's deck so far, it has ran out Crimson Curse in round 1. And we see it once again as the Blightmaker comes down to boost up those Nausicaa's, pull a Mage Assassin, kill a drone. 23 to
Yep.
11, though 4 turns of Crimson Curse might make those numbers a little misleading.
And the nice thing here for Truzky is that he knows this Crimson Curse is getting its full value because of Spyro's stratagem. Of course, this naughty Mage Assassin jumping on the melee row as well. So there's a lot of value to be found here in this Crimson Curse.
Yep. So Truzky with those 2 Ekimaras on the melee row is a bit awkward for his Chimeras. Assuming that...
Yeah, that's the downside.
Yeah. Assuming we get down to the point where those are getting played. Is this the Maxi?
I think we're looking at the Maxi. I think we have a Wispus at the bottom, but then we did find the Heatwave up top, so I'm not really sure. I could not locate the Aneromancy for that one.
Yeah, I think the Aneromancy was on the bottom row.
Then we're probably assuming it did get shuffled.
Yeah, it just depends how important you think
here.
it is to find the Heatwave by round 2.
Yeah.
As the second Blightmaker comes down to pull out the Mage Assassin, zaps another drone, managing to avoid all the units bigger than one.
Okay, and Truzky, on the other hand, does decide to swarm a little bit more with the Spontaneous Evolution. Definitely not yet giving up the round, but the drones are a little bit split up for these Chimeras. Or, yeah, potential Chimera from the Doldulok as well.
Yeah. He would have been able to play that melee if he wanted, right? There's 6 units there, it spawns 3, and then the random drone would come out melee? Or come out ranged?
Yeah. Okay. Alright, Spyro taking the pass here, deciding that he wants to keep his resources. What do you think about this pass here?
I'm very surprised to see this pass. I wonder if Spyro scrimmed this matchup and... I don't know. I'm very surprised to see this.
Yeah. I think maybe he said he got the thinning down. Now it just comes down to defending this bleed without giving up too many resources. We'll see. I mean, Truzky has a really nice... Like, he just got away so nicely here. He gets to save all of the important resources. Didn't really have to spend that much, making the bleed kind of really nice.
The Blightmakers are so important in this matchup, too. Like, I think there's an argument to be made. The Blightmakers are better than a lot of the golds here. Killing a drone, putting 3 units in play to make the Yennefer worse. And both of those were thrown out into the round 1 as well.
Yeah. Alright, let's see what's going to happen here. Of course, we also knew kind of the hand state of Truzky there. I don't think he wanted to play much further in round 1 other than those Chimeras. But here we go. The bleed has been initiated with this Wispus into Spontaneous Evolution, of course, here. Swarming the board.
Yep. Starts to develop the board. 5 on the melee row, 1 charge in the Arrakis Behemoth could finish off the swarm. Looks like the random drone goes to the ranged drone, so still gonna need to use that leader charge if he wants to full value Behemoth.
Alright, and Spyro is playing his Usurper, taking it back really fast as well. I'm wondering if, like, trying to clog the rows at some point would be a strategy for Spyro to do, as well as the Yen would buff up those operatives maybe from the Usurper. But
Yen
Spyro, on the other hand, just wants to
regardless.
get it done.
But Bone
yeah,
Talisman
never mind.
could,
Yeah, the Bone Talisman, sorry.
The one thing that you're risking, though, is your opponent playing a Kikimor Warrior and consuming the operatives. I don't think a Kikimor has been played yet.
Oh, that's
Warrior.
actually a good point, yeah. And Drago Warrior. Yeah, that one hasn't been seen yet, so you're right, that would kind of risk those extra points. But yeah, Spyro saying he just wants the Usurper down really fast there. Now, on the other hand, Brothin is starting to play onto that range row. We do see another Informant here in Spyro's hand, as well as the Joachim blocking the range row a little bit there from Truzky. He needs to make sure he has space for Triss pretty much there. So we'll see.
Here's the Doldulok in the off row, and the Chimeras begin their assaults. Eat a drone, boost the row by 7. Immediately throws the drone back to avoid getting spied there as well. Tight play indicating that he is committing to this push. Making sure to get max value on that Chimera again next turn.
Yeah, it feels like a really good pitch for AQ to go for. Also, Spyro is finding this Morlahim Hunter here and bleeding the Wispus, given potentially Truzky one more gap there on his side of the board.
Yep, Truzky taking that Chimera, eating that one to make sure that he's not putting anything taller than something already in play.
Okay.
Truzky now
Vincent.
filling up melee row.
Vincent coming down here on an 8-point drone with the Doom tag, of course, giving a little bit of food to Vincent, and now, of course, the point gap is quite close.
Look at this card quality left over for Spyro. He's got a 5, a 6, a 4. There's Bone Talisman, Triss, and Neuromancy for Truzky. This could be a 2-0 if he commits to it.
Yeah, it's just up to Truzky to kind of make this evaluation here of how much further can Spyro play.
Oh, he's going for it. There's Triss Bone Talisman. Triss Bone Talisman, Bone Talisman from hand, and Nero for Bone Talisman. So many talismans.
There we go. So that's
that almost does it by itself.
Yeah. Spyro with this hand definitely.
Yeah.
Not having a great time in trying to win this round. What can the Gorther do? The Gorther goes for the Mentor, perhaps. The point gap is getting bigger and bigger.
17 points a turn, and Spyro's just playing bronzes. This Mentor is good, but it's not going to be enough. Down 36? Yeah, this game's already over?
Yep, I believe so. I am very curious to see, though, what Truzky will do here with the Nerezi. Will he say, okay, this is enough? Maybe Spyro's holding on to a ball there, or is he just gonna go all in, say that, yeah, this looks good. There's no way I'm losing this.
Just gets the last
Because, like,
Bone
no matter what
Talisman.
Spyro has here, it shouldn't be enough. I don't know what Spyro could have.
Well, he has a 0-point card and a 4-point card.
Yeah. Wow. Clearing the row space nicely here to fit the last informant, or emissary on the board there, but with the 20, yeah, we have a big point gap here. So
Let's update that scoreboard, as it appears Truzky has won this series and is going to be our first player into Gwent Open number 3 from this qualifier.
that is a huge congratulations for Truzky. All right. Okay, and we have a little bit of a gap here in between. So I think we might see if we can get Truzky on the line. I think he was up for an interview.
Is he?
Let me
Okay.
check.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's...
Sorting that out.
Oh,
But
no.
yeah,
We're gonna have to, like, set up another call. Uh-oh. Wait.
I think so.
Okay.
We just need his contact information so that we can get to him, of course.
Oh, can I just add him into...
We should be able to add him without a camera onto a group call, I believe.
Okay. So, I guess try to get him in here.
Do we have his contact information?
I don't.
All right. See if we can get that. But yeah, of course, huge congratulations to Truzky here for making it through. An open number 3 spot has been secured here for Truzky.
Now, notably, Spyro not out. That was the winners' finals, correct? So he's still got his chance in the losers' finals?
Yep, that is right. Spyro is moving on to there, and we will update you guys on what games we will be watching next as well.
Yeah, do we know who the other player on the other side of the bracket is?
Yeah, I can check that one. I believe we've got the Discord name here. Okay.
It's the winner. Oh, I'm not actually sure.
All right. We'll sort that out in a second, chat. One sec.
Just waiting to see.
Okay, he will DM it to us. So we'll be getting his contact information very soon. It will be really interesting to discuss kind of his lineup choices. I think I'm really excited about the lineup in general. Like, again, just like trying to, when we started, mentioned that Truzky was the only player to not bring NG, and clearly the strategy worked for him. Other than that, I think a lot of the time we've seen a lot of players playing just solid, a good list without really a target lineup. Truzky, on the other hand, did do a little bit of a Nilfgaard target here with his lineup. That did work, so I'm really interested in hearing the choices behind that and how we went for it. But I think the NG target is quite clever with the Ereka Swarm. Of course, in this Sparrow matchup, we did see the Syndicate ban other than the NR ban, but basically with that lineup, say you're saying you're going to have to ban the Northern Realms, but still be good enough against Syndicates and probably beat NG. So cool choices there, I think.
Indeed. Chat saying that it is going to be Wanged against Spyro.
Okay. We should have Truzky here on the line.
Ooh.
All right. I believe. Oh, okay. I'm getting messages, but how can I? One sec.
Yeah. Add him to the call. I wouldn't know how to do it.
Okay. Sorry, I'll mute myself. Trying it again, maybe.
Yeah.
Entertain you, chat.
So, hey, chat. Unfortunately, do not have any tortoises to show you on this view. What's going on? How'd everyone enjoy the first series? Tomorrow morning, will you watch me cast Opencast at 1.5 speed? I am all about watching things on 1.5 speed. Need things to watch, need more monitors. There's only the 2, but I have a bunch of windows open. I'm keeping track of a lot of stuff here. I got my main OBS on the bottom monitor for a change, which is really weird, and then I got a Discord, a notepad thing to update the scoreboard. I got Twitch chat over here. And then I'm keeping an eye on Discord as well.
Okay, so we're getting probably a friend request through to Trynet, and then I believe we need to get his voice onto the stream. I can make a group chat. Yeah, once he does.
There's no way to just add someone to the call.
I think I can. And there we go. Okay, Trynet. Guess what you have to do? You have to accept my friend request. Will he do it?
Oh, okay. Friend request.
Nice.
Oh, is this Bart?
No, it's Truzky.
Oh, I just got a friend request from Bart. Okay, never mind.
It's the nickname is Bart too.
Oh god. Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
So we have Bart Killer, and we have Bart 232.
They are spawning. They're swarming, just like the Arrakis drones. Alright.
Hi. Okay, how do I add...
Trying to get it sorted here.
Oh, Cceely disappeared. Uh-oh.
Okay.
Wait, you're back, but I don't have. Okay.
Hey, awesome.
Hey,
Hey, how you doing?
great. That's crazy.
God, where's everything? Where are my settings?
Okay, it's at least we have the voices here. I think it's all right for this interview.
Yep.
So we can. All right, there we're all here on Discord. Very great. A little bit of tech stuff going on, but we got it figured out. Hey, Truzky, it's really nice that you were able to join us. And I want to say, first off, congratulations to you for making it to Open number 3. That was an amazing performance we just got to see.
Yeah, thanks a lot. That was quite a game.
Yeah. That was amazing. So, I think the question that is on my mind at least is, why did you decide to go with this lineup that kind of targeted Nilfgaard? I think you're the only one who didn't bring Nilfgaard themselves, so maybe you could share some thought process.
Okay, that was my first idea. I also played in top 16 qualifier, but I didn't do too well. So my idea in first qualifier was to target NG and Kelly. NG is arguably second the best deck right now, so it's pretty obvious that everyone will bring that. And I think that it's not that strong as people tell everyone it is. It has quite a lot of bad matchups. It loses to Siege, and also has quite a lot of good counters like Skoyapel, Else, and Gift are quite good counters. And as my lineup, Araka Swarm, Reckless Flurry, all of these decks are pretty good against that NG. So my first try was Else, but to be fair, I got quite high roulette and lost by 1 point with opponent stealing my Vernociel. So this time I told to myself that I'm not taking Else anymore. And
fair enough.
Yeah, and took these decks. I'm very confident with Araka Swarm. That's my favorite deck, and I'm playing this for a lot of seasons. So that was another argument that Araka Swarm is quite. NG is a free matchup, and I can also make a lineup which also beats NG with not only Araka Swarm.
Yep. Cool. Thank you for that.
So, all the downtime between games, was that you trying to get in Spyro's head a little bit? Or were you just trying to compose yourself?
To be fair, it's quite hot in Poland, so I just needed to drink water, go to the toilet, or something like that. Just a little break between all the games. It just helped me.
Yeah, that's a good strategy to take care of yourself and really make sure you're at the peak of your game. And I think you were today. Really well played. Really lovely strategy as well, seeing that kind of in action. And really fun, I think, that we got to see Araka Swarm today. And of course, this weekend. Really cool games to cast. Something like the Araka's Swarm versus Koshi was a matchup that we were not familiar with. Yeah, I was gonna ask you.
Yeah,
were you surprised by that?
I was hoping for queuing anything but Koshi, mainly NG in that matchup.
Yeah,
and I thought that Spyro will think that I will queue NR, so he will won't queue Koshi to not. NR should be quite good against Koshi, I think. Definitely better than AQ.
Yeah.
So that was my logic then.
Okay, well, congratulations, Truzky. Looking forward to seeing you in the Gwent Open. But,
thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah. Well, see you
around. Can I have one moment?
Oh, yeah. You want to shout something out?
Of course.
Big thanks to my team. I had a really hard time in prepping, and my teammates helped me quite a lot. They trained matchups between themselves to help me in these qualies, because I had a lot of exams on uni. So big shout out to all the Team Elder Blood members.
Yeah. Representing Team Elder Blood, you're making all of them proud, for sure. So that is really awesome to see all this prep kind of pay off. That's great. So yeah, thank you so much for joining us on this
Thank you.
interview.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay, how do I fix everything? Okay, that's not right. Oh, it's a different call. Okay, and then
This work?
this and
back?
pop this
You're
out.
fine.
Okay. Okay, let's cut to break for like 1 minute and then we'll talk over deck lists. Sound
Yeah.
good?